So, what does it really take to become unshakable? I mean, not just tough, but so mentally resilient that absolutely nothing can throw you off balance. Well, today, we're going to unpack an ancient story that holds a really powerful and kind of surprising key to building that exact kind of extreme resilience.
Think about the toughest person you know. What is it that makes them so strong? Is it about just gritting your teeth and ignoring pain? Well, a text that's about 2,500 years old suggests it's something totally different. A really subtle shift in your own mind that can change, well, everything. Okay, let's get into it.
So our story kicks off with a monk named Puṇṇa. He goes to his teacher at the Buddha, and he's not looking for some huge, complicated philosophical lecture. Nope, he wants something direct, something he can use right away.
And you got to appreciate the request itself, right? Puṇṇa is basically asking for the single most powerful, most concentrated piece of wisdom his teacher has. He's like, give me the one tool that I can take with me into solitude and completely transform my mind with.
And the Buddha? He delivers. He gives Puṇṇa a teaching that cuts right to the absolute core of why we feel emotional pain, why we get stressed out, and why we're so often dissatisfied. And it really all boils down to just two key ideas.
So the first concept is a word called nandi. Now, this isn't just, feeling happy, it's way more specific. Nandi is the act of clinging to that happiness. It's that feeling you get when something is so good and you think, oh, I never want this to end. It's the grasping, the holding on tight to a pleasant sight or a sound or a taste, anything our senses just fall in love with.
And the second concept is dukkha. Now, this gets translated as suffering all the time, but it's actually much broader than that. A better way to think of it is like the background static of stress in our lives, that feeling of unease, the friction that happens when the world doesn't do what we want it to do. It's that disappointment we feel when that amazing thing we were clinging to, well, it inevitably changes or goes away.
Okay, so here's the absolute crucial point. The Buddha draws a direct line, a cause and effect relationship. He says when nandi, that act of clinging to a pleasant feeling, shows up, dukkha, or suffering, automatically shows up with it. You can't have one without the other. They're like two sides of the same coin. The very act of grabbing onto a fleeting pleasure is what sets you up for the pain when it's gone.
And this is where it all clicks. This is the solution. If clinging to delight is what causes the suffering, then letting go of that clinging, well, it stops the suffering. So real freedom isn't about trying to get rid of all the bad stuff in the world. It's about changing our internal relationship to the good stuff by learning not to desperately hold on to it.
So Puṇṇa gets this incredibly powerful teaching, and what does he do? He decides to put it to the ultimate test. He tells the Buddha he's going to go practice in a place called Sunna Aparenta, which was known for its, let's say, violent and hostile people. And this is where the story gets really, really intense.
The Buddha then starts what is basically a mental stress test. He starts with the most likely thing that's going to happen. People are going to yell at him, they're going to insult him. He's pretty much asking Puṇṇa, are you sure you understood this teaching? Let's see how it holds up when things get real.
And Puṇṇa's answer is just, wow, it's extraordinary. He doesn't say, oh, I'll just ignore them or I'll be patient. No, he immediately reframes this totally negative thing into a positive one. He finds a reason for actual, genuine gratitude, even when he's being insulted. But the Buddha is just getting started, and the test just builds and builds relentlessly. The Buddha keeps pushing him, making the threat worse each time. Okay, but what if they hit you with their fists? And what if they throw stones at you? Sticks? Weapons? And then finally, the ultimate question. What if they take your life? Each question is designed to find the absolute breaking point of Puṇṇa's mind.
With every single escalating threat, Puṇṇa's answers reveal this incredibly consistent and powerful mental technique. It's a mindset of what you could call radical gratitude.
This right here breaks down his method perfectly. It's so simple, but so profound. If they hit him with a stick, he'll think, wow, how kind of them not to use a weapon. If they do use a weapon, he'll think, how kind of them not to actually kill me. In any situation, no matter how terrible it seems, he finds something worse that isn't happening, and he feels gratitude for that.
And this is his final answer. It's just on another level. Faced with the ultimate fear, death itself, Puṇṇa's mind is completely, totally free. He doesn't see his own death as a tragedy. He sees it as a release from the burdens of having a body, something other spiritual practitioners actually search for, and he's found it without even trying. He has truly 100% let go of all clinging.
After passing this unbelievable test, after proving that his mind is genuinely unshakable, the Buddha gives him his blessing. He confirms that Puṇṇa hasn't just learned the teaching in theory. He's mastered it in a way that can handle the absolute harshest realities you can imagine.
So the big question is, what happened when Puṇṇa actually went to this so-called fierce land? Did this philosophy actually work out there in the real world? Well, the end of the story is just as remarkable as the test.
In his first year there, he inspired 500 men to follow his path of practice.
But he didn't stop there. He also inspired 500 women. Think about that. He created a community of 1,000 peaceful practitioners in a place that was famous for being hostile. He didn't fight back, he didn't argue or preach aggressively. He just embodied a mindset so peaceful that it completely transformed the world around him. So just to sum it up, Puṇṇa didn't just survive there, he absolutely thrived. He built this huge community dedicated to peace, he achieved the highest states of wisdom possible, and in the end he found complete and final liberation. Years later, long after Puṇṇa had passed away, the Buddha himself gave him this final tribute. He held him up as the perfect example of someone who really understood and lived the teaching, confirming that Puṇṇa had achieved the ultimate goal.
You know, Kuna's story is such a powerful reminder that our resilience doesn't come from having a tougher skin, but from having a more flexible mind. It's not about changing what happens to us, it's about mastering how we respond inside of us. So, the question to leave you with is this. What's the first small challenge, the first little insult or frustration in your life that you can try to meet with this kind of gratitude today?